Hey everybody, Mike Jeffers, and welcome to Open Mic. And I am very excited today to have on the show Mike Wheeler. He is one of the hardest working men in blues, I think, because he is constantly playing all over the city, all over the country, all over the world. He is going to be playing June 10th, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on the Pritzker Pavilion on the main stage with a longtime collaborator of his, Demetria Taylor. And she's actually supporting a brand new recording she's got out, Doing What I'm Supposed to Do. It's on Delmark Records, and we were happy to have Mike Wheeler here for a few minutes. Mike, thanks for jumping in for a few minutes.
Mike, my pleasure to be here, man.
It is good to see you. So let's talk specifically about the Blues Fest. First off, you're going to be playing with Demetria Taylor, 6:30 to 7:30 on the main stage, Pritzker Pavilion. I know you've played the Blues Fest many times, but you're on the main stage, and you're actually, it's Demetria's set, but you're backing her up on this, but you guys have played together so much. I mean, talk a little bit about this new recording that she's got out, because I'm pretty sure you had a hand in some of the recording process of it.
Oh, yeah. Her new album on Delmark, Doing What I'm Supposed to Do. A lot of the songs on there, myself and my bass player, Larry Williams, wrote, and our keyboard player, former keyboard player, Brian James, we all on there, and Pookie Sticks on the drums, and Carlos Shout on the guitar. And it was a great experience, you know, working with Demetria, and because we wrote these songs a few years back, and you know, and when the pandemic started, it kind of set the recording, you know, backwards. You know, it kind of went, you know, delayed stuff. So we had more time to really perfect it and get it the way that we wanted it to be. So it turned out pretty good.
Well, and you've played with Demetria for a long time, but you also have a long connection with Delmark Records. You've got a couple of different releases out under your own, with your own band on Delmark Records.
Yes.
And this is their 70th anniversary, I can't believe, 70th anniversary of Delmark Records. And Julian Elbio and the whole team over there is just, they've really continued on that Bob Kester tradition of great blues on that record label, right?
Oh yeah, they're good people, and they're also musicians, so they know how musicians think, and you know they know a lot about, you know, the business part of dealing with music and the musical part. So yeah, they're good owners. They're great owners.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about your background, because you know I said you're one of the hardest working men in blues here in Chicago, because every time I look at a club, you're playing at the club. And then I see the festivals, and all summer you're busy doing festivals all over the country, all over the world. A lot of times you're traveling now that things are back to normal, thank goodness. How did you first get started? You know, leading your band is different than just playing in a band, and you're the leader, so you're taking care of business, you're taking care of everything, bookings and all that stuff.
Right.
But how did you first get started playing? Meaning, what was one of your influences or one of your first big gigs that you had that you said, you know what, I'm going to do this for a living?
Well, actually, the first big gig that I did was the Delta Blues Festival down in Mississippi. I think it was 1980. And we were on the festival. Coco Taylor was on the festival. There was a lot of big people on it. And I was like, just straight out of high school. And so, man, it was people everywhere, and it was just amazing. And that hit me right there. You know, that's made me want to do it like that.
Who were you playing with?
I was playing with a soul singer. His name was Andre Chantel. I haven't seen him since then, but it was a good experience. And he was a lot of fun to play with. He was like a Tyrone Davis style singer.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you get the call? I mean, you're just out of high school? I mean.
Yeah, well, I was with a band at the time, and somebody in the band knew him, or he was related to somebody in the band or something like that. And we got in a couple of cars and drove down to Mississippi. You know, being that young, I was just game to do it, you know. It was a great experience.
So you're somebody that, you know, you play Chicago blues, you play R&B, you play a mixture of everything. I mean, when you see the Mike Wheeler Band play, you see the Mike Wheeler Band play whatever Mike Wheeler Band wants to play that night, and which is exciting, which always gets the crowd moving and grooving and stuff, but that you never know what you're going to do, which is great. You do a lot of your originals. Sometimes you might throw in some covers, some tribute things and all that stuff. How did you, I mean, what were some of your influences? How did you just decide that you were going to enjoy all the music that you were listening to, and you were going to play all the music you were listening to?
Well, my biggest influence when it comes to music is my mother. So when I was a little boy, I was like 5 or 6 years old. She would play Muddy Waters, B.B. King, Buddy Guy. We listened to a lot of blues, but we listened to a lot of soul music too, James Brown, you know, stuff like that. And she played, man, we listened. I was a young guy like that. I'm listening to Pink Floyd, all that kind of stuff like that. So that kind of set the taste in music. And believe me, I love all genres of music. When I was a little boy, I used to watch Hee Haw on TV. And I like Buck Owens playing the guitar. I was like, man, I could do that. And Roy Clark, So I just been like that all my life. But I love the blues because that was my first introduction into music through my mother. But I like all genres.
Yeah. Who were some of the influences that you saw coming up in Chicago and seeing the different people in the different clubs and having those experiences as a young person?
Well, mostly I was too young to go to clubs. When I got in high school, I kind of was into more funk music, like George Clinton and stuff like that, because I had been through the blues stuff. But then, going to those clubs, we would, see people, like James Brown, going to see them and stuff like that. But then when I graduated from high school, like I said, I did the thing at the Delta Blues Festival, and that brought me back to the blues. And then a few years after that, maybe like 4 years after that, Lovey Lee, the last piano player with Muddy Waters, he called me to do a gig because I knew his son. Me and his son was like on the same circuit. And he was looking for a guitar player, and he told his dad that he knew me. And he called me, and I did a gig with him at Lily's. That was like 1983, 84, something like that.
Wow. What was that like?
Man, it was amazing, man. Man, Lovey was a monster. He was an older guy then, but he could go, and he was real open to, different stuff. So, because, I was just kind of getting back into the blues at the time, but, he treated me well.
He sucked you into the blues at that point, right?
He did. It was good to be back out there, because, man, the blues scene is unmatched, and all the things I've been in, none compares to that.
Well, that's what I've talked to with a couple of different people is that, and I think a lot of people don't realize that the Chicago Blues Fest is the largest free blues fest in the world. And when you're from Chicago and you're living in Chicago, you don't realize that. And when you can go and see Mike Wheeler, you can go and see John Primer, you can see all these great musicians in Chicago just anytime you pretty much want. But when you guys go out of town, it's a whole other ballgame. I mean, you're bringing Chicago blues to another city, whether it's another city in the country or another city in Europe, another city outside, anywhere in the world. It's such a big scene, to your point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand. What's it like when you go out of Chicago and travel?
Well, it's all places are special, but mostly overseas, man. Overseas, they treat you like a king. It's a big event when you get there. I mean, here in the States, even though we got a good scene here and there's a good blues scene in other cities, but overseas they don't have that. And
right.
when you come over there, they treat you like, man, we're so glad you're here. I ain't saying that the people here in the States don't do that also, but it's familiarity. You're used to it. It's just like the Stones.
Yeah.
When the people over in England, when they was digging the Chicago blues, and the people right here in Chicago, they didn't even know who they were talking about. Like Buddy Waters, they're like, who was that? But sometimes you gotta get away from your comfort zone and go out and just see the world and meet new people.
Yeah. Well, I think that's good for anything, right? I mean, just get out and actually introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And so let's tell everybody, because they should go to MikeWheelerBand.com so they can find out where you're playing. You're performing all over the city. I know you have festivals coming up and everything like that.
Yes.
Any new releases on the horizon? Anything you have cooking?
Not yet. It should be soon. We're still getting our songs together. I don't know. It takes me longer than the people that come up with an album every 6 months or every year, but I just try to wait till I have the right songs because I got to live with that for once you make it, you got to live with it for the rest of your life.
That's right.
So you got to make sure it's right.
Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this because the last time I saw you play was at the 2019 Blues Fest on the front porch stage, and your grandson got up on stage and was just tearing it up. Is he still playing?
He's still picking at the guitar, but he's playing drums now. He loves the drums. He loves the drums and he loves singing and dancing. So
Yeah.
he liked that group from South Korea. I can't remember the name of them, but he liked those. He liked that K-pop stuff. But he's a kid. it keeps expanding.
He'll come back around.
Yeah,
He'll come back
but
around.
he got a bunch of guitars. Whenever he get ready to play them again.
Well, it's good to see you, man. Thanks for taking a few minutes. I know you got to run to a gig. Again, MikeWheelerBand.com. And of course, June 10th, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on the main stage with the great Demetria Taylor. Thanks again, Mike, for everything, and we'll see you at the fest.
All right, Mike, thanks for having me. Thank you all.
And of course, thanks everybody for watching. As I always say, all the information is at ChicagoJazz.com, BluesFestGuide.com, and until next time, hopefully I will see you all somewhere out on the scene.